Hey everyone, this is Mr. Arne reading to you Coyote and Badger, Desert Hunters of the Southwest by Bruce Hiscock. Check out these landscapes. Part of this country, but not like anything that we see in this part of our country. That's for sure. Here we go. Coyote woke up hungry again. He stretched his stiff old legs and looked out at the desert. The sun was going down, but the air was still hot. Coyote hoped to spy a rabbit, or even a mouse, since he hadn't eaten in 2 days. These were hard times for all the animals of Chaco Canyon. No rain had fallen that spring, and there were no fresh leaves for the small animals to feed on. And so Coyote, the hunter, often went hungry too. And now he trotted silently up the canyon to try his luck once more. Across the arroyo, the dry stream, Coyote scared up a rabbit, and a dizzy chase began. The rabbit streaked through the salt bush with Coyote snapping at its heels, and for a moment, it looked as if old Hunter might eat well. But the cottontail was too quick and squeezed between some rocks by the canyon wall. Coyote scratched around the hiding place a while and went to look for something slower, or maybe even something dead to eat. Further up the canyon, Badger emerged from her den. She left her 2 pups safely underground and waddled off as the air began to cool. Badger was a night hunter too, but she seldom chased rabbits. She was a digger, not a runner. Her short legs and long claws were perfect for hunting animals that lived beneath the earth. When Badger found the hole of an antelope squirrel, she tore into the hard soil. The dirt fairly flew, and in a wink, she was underground following a dark tunnel. No animal can dig as fast as a badger, but the squirrel raced ahead and escaped to the surface. Badger dug many holes that night before she came home with meat for the pups. Prey was scarce, especially around the den. It was time to move her family to a new hunting ground. As the sun rose, Badger led the way down the canyon, with her little ones behind. Few animals ever messed with Badger, for she was a fierce fighter. But the open desert is a dangerous place for pups. At any turn, a hungry coyote or bobcat might be waiting. And overhead in the clear morning, an eagle watched them closely. At last they reached one of Badger's other burrows by an old pueblo. She checked the tunnels for rattlesnakes as the pups scurried into the cool darkness of their new home. Not far from there, Coyote settled down to sleep for the day. He was still terribly hungry. When evening came, Badger began hunting in the greasewood bushes near the pueblo. She was already underground, exploring a promising hole, when Coyote heard the sound of her digging. Quietly, carefully, he stole closer. Suddenly, a kangaroo rat, fleeing from Badger, hopped from a tunnel. A quick pounce, and Coyote had food. He checked the other holes. Another rat, about to leave its burrow, saw Coyote and fled back down the tunnel, and that rat became Badger's dinner. When Badger scrambled back to the surface, she found Coyote waiting. Instantly, she backed away, baring her powerful teeth. And for a moment, the 2 animals faced each other, hissing, growling, their fur standing on end. But then, a curious thing happened. As they sniffed each other's scent, they relaxed a little. Coyote came forward. He took in Badger's musky odor, where she could almost smell the hunger on his fur. And as they circled one another, the ancient and mysterious bond between coyotes and badgers took hold. They began hunting together that very night. Coyote, the swift runner, led the way to a prairie dog's den as Badger shuffled along behind. Then Badger, the master digger, went to work. With Coyote standing guard, there was no safe place for the prairie dogs, above ground or below. And soon each partner had a full belly, and Badger was headed home, carrying meat for the pups. In the nights that followed, Coyote and Badger became a fearsome team. Not every hunt was successful, but it was much better than hunting alone. And usually, they hunted pack rats or ground squirrels, but one bright morning, the 2 of them were nosing about in the brush when a rabbit jumped out. Instantly, Coyote was after it. Rabbit zigged and zagged, racing ahead to a big rock where it slipped into a crack. Coyote circled a huge chunk of sandstone, but the crack was too narrow for him. Badger hurried over and began to dig her way in. Now the rabbit only had one chance left. And with a desperate leap, it sprang for the open desert, but Coyote was there. 2 bounds, a quick bite, and it was all over. Coyote hid the kill, and the partners trotted off to hunt a bit longer before the oven-like heat of the day began. In the wild, death and life are partners too. Well, you can see a street sign over there. Must be a road nearby. The drought grew worse as summer arrived. Each cactus, once swollen with water, oh yeah, you can see them right there, shrank as it waited for the rains to begin. Coyote and Badger often traveled far in search of prey, resting side by side when they grew tired. But they seldom grew hungry, and Badger always took meat back to her pups. The pups were getting big now. Badger let them play and dig little holes by the burrow when she was home. They were so full of energy and life. Then one morning, Badger returned from a long hunt with Coyote to find only one pup in the den. She looked for the missing youngster at his favorite digging spot, but there was no sign of him. Badger searched everywhere, and then behind the pueblo, she found shreds of fur, some blood, and an eagle feather. Badger, mother of many pups, knew this one would never return. When Coyote looked for Badger that evening, she was gone. He found the trail of his hunting partner and her other pup, but Coyote did not follow. The time of parting had come. The pup would soon be old enough to hunt for itself, and there was much that Badger must teach her, alone. Coyote went back to hunting by himself. It was hungry work again. Even mice were hard to find now, for the rain still had not come. And through the dark nights, Coyote searched for food, and when the sun burned down, he slept. One night, as Coyote prowled the ruins of an ancient kiva, the old hunter threw back his head and let out a long yip, howl, and a howl, and from around the canyon, other coyotes joined in. The songs echoed off the dark walls and floated up toward the river of stars in the sky. The Milky Way. Oh my goodness, that is so cool. Late the next afternoon, Coyote woke up to the rumble of distant thunder. Yay. Oh, and look, there's a rabbit down there. Dark clouds were rolling toward the canyon rim. Soon strong gusts of wind rippled through the dry grass, and Coyote caught the scent of rain. In her den, Badger felt a tingle as lightning split the sky. Then the first big drops splattered, on the dusty soil. The summer rains were here at last. Now the deserts would be green again, and for a time there would be more food for still all the animals. Badger listened as the rain swept up the canyon, and deep in the storm, she heard something strange yet familiar. It sounded like Coyote, howling in the wind. And this is a little bit more about it all, that sometime maybe when you guys are older readers, and you might read for yourself when you read this to your kids. So a very interesting story about the Coyote and the Badger and how they work together. See y'all later. Bye-bye.